Now we move on to what's been called the zero budget. So what's in the kete for Māori?
This budget is about investing in our future. It shows the government is responsibly managing its finances.
As with all budgets, there were winners and losers, but the opposition says it's those with the least who will have the most to lose from this one.
There is nothing in this budget that will prevent or stop or deter people from going to departure lounges right across the country and going to Australia.
So what is in the budget for Māori? In education, kura kaupapa and whare kura won't have to increase their class sizes as planned for all other schools. There'll also be $19 million for Maori early childhood education services and $8.5 million to help Maori students achieve NCEA, along with $10 million for Maori cadetships. But tertiary students believe increased costs for them will put university studies beyond those from low-income families, including many Māori. In health, there's the already announced $24 million for rheumatic fever prevention, and home insulation programs will be boosted. But increases to prescription costs will hit many Māori families, and smokers will also face a 10% rise in cigarette costs every year for the next 4, a move Associate Health Minister Tariana Turia says doesn't go far enough.
A big increase this time would have been better, a 50% rise, but the government agreed to 10.
But there's no good news for struggling Māori families, and for them the zero budget will live up to its name.
Joining me now to discuss the budget is Hamiora Belkett, Director, Finance and Economics at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and of course mana leader Hone Harawira. Tēnā kōrua.
Kia ora, Scotty.
So, was it a zero budget, Hone?
Well, yeah, I mean, $0 for kohanga reo, $0 for kura kaupapa, $0 for whare kura.
Hekia said there was a lot of money to kohanga reo, 15 million, she said.
There was nothing, absolutely nothing. If you check the budget, there's not 1 cent dedicated to kohanga reo. There's money dedicated to early childhood education, but not $1 has gone to kohanga reo. If there had been, guaranteed by now you'd know that, because Eritana would have rung you to say, I think it's wonderful. But it hasn't happened, eh? It just hasn't happened.
Yeah. Hamiora, you're a renowned expert on things like this. The world economy's in a bad way. Is this the best the government could have done for Aotearoa at this point in time?
Yeah, well, kia ora, Scotty.
Kia ora.
I mean, from my perspective, it depends a lot on what you think the government should play a role in stimulating an economy. I think in the situation we're facing, the government's played a very prudent hand. Yes, is it a zero budget in the sense there's not a lot of new expenditure? That's true. But the government is trying to manage towards a surplus target in a few years' time. So that's what it's set itself up to do.
Are they on the right track? Is getting back to surplus the main focus for our economy?
Well, I think there's a lot of talk around, is surplus for surplus's sake the right thing to do? And there'll be some experts around the world saying, well, look at what austerity policies have done to other economies. From my perspective, the target the government set is so razor thin, it's almost within the margin of error. But I think it's the signal they're sending that that's where they want to go that's most important.
One of your old mates of the Māori Party are claiming a victory here in housing, health and education. Do you agree?
How much did they give for Māori health?
Well, it's a zero budget.
Exactly. So, I mean, if they claim zero as a victory,
they're probably still talking about whānau water and you know, initiatives like that?
Well, whānau water was already established some time ago, so you're talking about, is there any new money going into these initiatives? And the answer is there isn't. They will talk about the money that's going into rheumatic fever, but rheumatic fever is now known as the disease of the super poor. No other developed nation in the whole world has it to the level we have it. And here's the not surprising thing, 98% of the kids who get it are the Māori or Pacific Islanders. I guarantee you, if all of those kids that had rheumatic fever today were Pākehā, it'd be in all of the dailies tomorrow, it'd be #1 on all of the news items tomorrow night, it'd be a national scandal by Tuesday, and we'd be passing legislation by Wednesday.
Okay, so if you had the purse strings, Hone, what would you have done?
I think the first thing to do is actually increase what's in the budget by taxing the rich. I mean, how is it that people can still continue to trade millions, in fact billions of dollars a year on the world's financial markets and not pay 1 cent of that? There's something wrong there, eh? Something wrong when there's an expectation that ordinary people, that poor people will pay 14%, 15% GST on just about everything that they do but that rich people can get away with not paying any tax on financial speculation.
If we tax the rich, Hamiora, what's the output likely to be?
Well, not exactly sure what you mean by taxing the rich. I think what the government tried to do with its tax cuts was to stimulate growth, encourage people to save, encourage people to work for a reward. Now the question is the revenue base wide enough? Have they got it right? There's a lot of debate about should we have a capital gains tax. I think Hone was referring to a financial transactions tax, which is being discussion. You've got to take a balanced view to these things and what you think is the right way to incentivise people to reward themselves, to work, to invest, to save.
Can the Maori economy help stimulate not only Maori themselves, but the economic situation of the country?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the Maori economy. Does such an economy exist? How do you define it? How big is it? Some work's been done by Te Puni Kōkiri and Burl on that recently. Look, I absolutely think Māori economic interests can stimulate the wider economy. We've got to think about it, though, as being integrated with the wider economy. I think we put perhaps too much emphasis on iwi as being the saviours or forefront of that economy. It's actually our people, our whānau, our households, that's where the productive capital is and the expertise. It's unlocking that potential that's most important.
And unfortunately, it's the Australians who are getting to unlock it.
I was just about to say, can we keep our talented people in Aotearoa New Zealand? Because they think, what, 50,000 that went to Australia last year?
That's right. And because the tax cuts regime for the rich, which was brought in by National when they first came in back in 2008, what that's seen in terms of the Māori economy is our drift go from 35,000 a year to 55,000 a year. So it's done absolutely nothing for the kinds of people that Hamiora is saying need to feel ownership of this economy and want to participate in it. It was really scary to see two Māori teachers on TV a few nights ago actually say, you know, these are people who have gone through the whole Māori language teachers, to say that financially they've gotten to a point where they think they may go to Australia. Now that's scary.
And the 60% of people in Kaikohe who want to go to Australia and work in the mines.
And that's only because they haven't yet had the hui and kaitaia. I imagine it's, seriously, I imagine it's going to be pretty much the same. There is, you know, this whole thing about trying to unlock the desire to want to stay is simply not coming from this government. There's nothing in this budget to suggest to any Māori, anywhere in the country, that we want you to stay here and this is what we're going to do to encourage you to stay here. You know, when a government's going to tax paper boys, hey, I mean, something's seriously wrong.
Very quickly, Hamiora, one thing that you would have liked to have seen in the budget that wasn't in the budget?
Look, I would have liked to have seen a bigger debate on where government expenditure really rests and if we're getting the best value out of it. Many of the things we're doing, I think we were sort of reaching down the back of the couch to find things to pay for what little was in the budget. So I think as a country we do need to debate how do we want to spend our healthcare dollars, how do we want to maintain programs like working for families, and perhaps a debate on superannuation going forward.
Ka pai, and the debate will go on. Hamiora Hone, tēnā rā kōrua. Ka pai.
Kia ora.